Hey, welcome to my living room. Sorry, you're on a tripod and I'm just gonna adjust you. You would think I would know how to do this. I am quite rusty. It's been a while. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jessica. Today's video is an update about the cervical cancer that I no longer have. I also no longer have a cervix or fallopian tubes or a uterus, but I'll talk more about that later. I have tried to make this video like 50 times, not exaggerating. I've tried on 3 different days. In fact, today I thought I was just gonna be editing the video that I had filmed last week, but I didn't like it. I felt like it was too long. And I'm trying to say a lot of stuff in a short amount of time. And mostly, I'm just so thankful for you, and I'm trying to convey that through video, and I'm feeling like it's not hitting, and I just wish you were right here with me and I could wrap my arms around you and I could smooch you and tell you how special you are, which I know would be wildly inappropriate, but still, then you would really know how thankful I am. I have had my life changed by you, absolutely changed. I was not expecting that in this cancer experience. I wasn't expecting the cancer experience either. I said this on the podcast last week, which I'll say this about the podcast for those of you who are listening. All of the episodes that came out after my surgery were recorded pre-surgery, except for the update that came out last week. That one we recorded one day and put it out the next day. And I'm really afraid to listen to it because I was not refined. I was basically just talking as if I was talking to Lane. And then later I was reflecting on it like, oh my gosh, I think I really told you some details about my nether regions and my baby making bits. So only listen to the podcast if you think we'd be friends in real life, because otherwise I don't think you're gonna like it. Or if you're my family, just know that I'm gonna talk really in detail about things that you might rather imagine me not having. But what I did say in the podcast that I'm gonna repeat right now is that a lot of times it's not until we die that people start being outspoken about all of the ways our life has impacted them. And by then we're dead. So we're just on a star in heaven looking down being like, oh, thank you for these wonderful stories. I can't hug you. But this experience gave me the really divine and magical, opportunity to hear from many of you about how my work has impacted you. And I loved hearing about your families and the babies that you've had, and just how we've essentially grown together through this, the past few years of having this YouTube channel and growing our families at the same time. And some of you sent me gifts, and some of you sent me cards, and some of you sent us gift cards, separate from gifts and cards. And the GoFundMe, guys, I was losing sleep about money. I was so afraid of how we were going to provide for ourselves if I wasn't working, and it was unclear how much I wouldn't be working. And also leading up to the surgery, there were so many days that I was missing work because of appointments. And the GoFundMe, I was hesitant to even have. And then the way you lifted my family and carried us, oh my gosh, it was all life-changing. I think, yeah, this whole experience of being on bed rest, I guess I'll jump to that. So I had surgery, and it was a partial hysterectomy. So I don't have cancer in my ovaries, which is awesome. And I got to keep my ovaries, which means my hormones then don't go nutso, which I'm really glad about because I was afraid. I had a partial hysterectomy, and then I had vaginal repair from having prolapse after having babies. So you can Google that, but basically like my organs were in the wrong spot. Then I had a hernia, and they repaired that too. So it was a lot. I actually didn't understand how much it was. I guess there were some questions I didn't think to ask, but I thought it was going to be pretty minor because they were going in through my belly button. And then I just didn't realize that vaginal repair is like a whole thing. All that to say, I was in a lot of pain. I ended up on bed rest for some weeks, and I had heavy bleeding, and my stitches came out prematurely, and it was much harder than I expected. And I have had babies without medication, so I do know vaginal pain. And this was another level, but that's okay. I was in good hands. The surgeon was awesome. The whole medical team actually was really great. And so if you've been following this journey with me, you've known that it's been really awful getting to the point of having care. But once I had care, the care was really exceptional. And I feel like I'm in great hands, and they will be monitoring me going forward. I've had a whole bunch of exams since my surgery, and I have one next week. Technically, I'm not fully healed yet, but I expect that at my next pelvic exam, I will find out that I am, and that'll be cool. I have to be checked this year again to make sure that the cancer is fully gone, and then I'll be checked annually for 25 years to make sure that it doesn't come back in some other area. I thought it was going to be really climactic. I thought it would be like, you are cancer free, and we'll like hit a gong or something, you know. It wasn't. It was like, yeah, so as far as we can tell, you don't have any more cancer. I was like, okay, cool. He did say that they were surprised to see that the cancer had already been spreading to another part of my cervix, which actually felt validating for me, because this whole process I've had to really be assertive, and I've had to operate in a way that is not my natural personality. Naturally, I would just like to be very accommodating and very easygoing and very chill, like, oh, sure, yeah, whatever you say. But with this, I had to show up at the doctor's office over and over and be like, I need someone to help me. No one has scheduled me an appointment. No one has solved this insurance dilemma. Once I showed up to the appointment, they were like, actually, your appointment's canceled. And I was like, I'm not leaving. I need an appointment. That was all really hard for me. And sometimes the feedback I was getting was like, well, this is typically a slow growing cancer. You actually might not even have the cancer anymore. It's possible it was all removed with your biopsy. But nothing was based on them checking my body to ensure that that was true for me. A lot of it was just a statistic, and that made me really uncomfortable, obviously. And so it was cool to find out that it had been growing, and they were able to get it all out, which is amazing. But still, that was nice because I had to really put myself out there and get the help. And I guess that's what I would say to you, just to encourage any of you watching who maybe tend to like minimize your own health issues. If you think something's wrong with your body, will you just go check? And will you ask for proper care? If they say, oh, it's probably just this, you say, could you check and make sure it's that? Really check. Because I've gotten now many messages from people being like, yeah, one woman in my life went in and they told her it was probably just like a stone, like a gallstone or whatever. And then it was advanced cancer and different things where women's reproductive health issues were minimized, and then it turned into a really major situation. And so I don't want to scare you. Don't be scared. You're fine. But just get PAPs, ask for care. If you think something's off, get a second opinion. You're worth that. And especially for those of us who are raising children, we need to be well. We've got these kids. I mean, we all need to be well, even if we don't have kids. But there is something about having these kids in my life where I was like, if someone was minimizing my child's health issue, I would roar like a lion, right? But when it's myself, I'm like, oh, you're probably right. And in this case, when it comes to cancer, I didn't want to do that. Obviously, when it's a life or death thing, you do what you need to do to get the care. And I'm grateful I did. And I'm grateful I'm in such good hands medically now. And so please stand up for yourself. Had to rest a lot in the recovery process. I was on bed rest longer than we expected, and it required me to lay down a lot. And one of the things I journaled during this process, because I was trying to write down things I was learning so I would remember it into my future, was lay down before you're sick. Take care of yourself before you're sick. Read books before you're sick. I like to read books, but often I'm reading a book by listening to a book on audio while I'm driving from one thing to the next. And I always have my Audible books on like 2x speed. So it's like chipmunk voice reading to me, because I'm just like, get as much into you as possible. And this experience was like, no, slow down, enjoy your life, read things for fun. Pleasure, rest, taking care of yourself. These are things that I tend to place on the back burner because I'm like, go, do, succeed, accomplish, prove that you're important. And this was really good for me to have to challenge some of those ideas and figure out what really matters in life. And one of the things I really enjoyed was that I had a lot more patience with my children because I was more rested and I wasn't running from one thing to the next, and I wasn't constantly being like, hurry, 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 we have to get here, we have to do this. It was a lot of slowing down and not hurrying at all. And I also wasn't on my phone because my phone was making me anxious because it was feeling like I was missing things, and it was this pressure of like, you have to do this certain stuff for work, but I physically couldn't do anything. And that was also good for me because then it allowed me to take space from social media specifically, and I think that's healthy for all of us. which is weird because I work in the world of social media. But yesterday I was at my friend's house and they're moving to Spain. Very, very lucky family moving to Spain. And they said, you know, when we figured out we were moving, then we started to enjoy being here more. It was like once they had a deadline on their time, everything now got more precious and fun and enjoyable. And I was telling him how my cancer diagnosis felt kind of similar in a weird way because I wasn't sure the gravity of that. I didn't know, does that mean my life is ending early? What does that mean for my future? Does that mean these things that I'm going through? Like I found out in November and then we had the holidays. And because I had very little information about my health, naturally my mind went to worst case scenario, which was like, could this be my last holiday? Like, are these experiences that I'm having, are these my last ones here? And if they are, how do I savor them? How do I soak them up? And how do I make the most of it? And so it's like my friends who know they're leaving, now they're enjoying everything all the more. When death is just a thing that you're aware of, it can help you to enjoy everything all the more. Obviously, it can also make you cry at random and really stress you out. And I don't recommend that part. But now that I'm well and now that I don't have cancer and I'm not constantly thinking like, is this my last experience of this? What I do hope stays with me and what I really want to be intentional about is savoring right now, knowing that tomorrow isn't promised, that we really don't know when we get to go and sit on our star. And so by the way, I don't really think that that's what happens after death, but it's kind of a sweet picture. Yeah, we don't know when our last day here is. I know mostly that it'll be when we're really old and really adorable and we pretend we don't have a memory. That way we can get away with anything. But I do think now it's important for me to not rush into life thinking about like, I'll plan this and I'll do that. And what I found for myself specifically is that I'm really good at not being in the moment because my mind is over there thinking about the next thing we're doing, the next thing we need to accomplish, the next goal we have, the next birthday party we need to plan, or person who's coming to visit, or whatever it is. It's always over there. Or I do this really sweet nostalgic thing where I think about the past and I'm like, oh my gosh, they were so cute. They were so perfect. I loved everything about that stage back there. When the reality is I'm here and I want to be here. And when I was wondering if this was the last now that I would get, I was really in the now. I was really soaking it up and I was making the most of it. And so I want to try and continue that. And I think it just takes some intentionality and mindfulness and Zen and all the things that you hear people writing self-help books about. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I just want to encourage you as my friends, be here now with me. We'll try to be here now and live as much of our life in the present as we can. Of course, the future planning and dreaming and goals and all of that, it's a gift and it's a part of being an adult is planning for the future. So we get that. And then also the past is so sweet and precious to remember, sometimes also very painful. We can live with all of it being true at one time, but the real goal is to live in the now as much as we can and to be as present as we can with the people who matter most to us. And so that's what I want to leave you with. Thank you so much for everything. If there's anything you want to know specifically, feel free to comment because I could make a follow-up video. But now I'm just going to start making content for growing families again. I don't need to make content about cancer unless I start thinking about cancer, and then I'll make content about that. But I would love to make content that could help support you in this stage of your life. And I'm so grateful for you being here. And I'm thankful for everything you've done to carry my family in the last 2 months, the last like 6 months really. And I just hope you're doing great. And if there's anything I can do to support you, I would love to do that. You're the best. You're the best people on the internet. You really are. There are some not friendly people out there, and that's not you guys. You're awesome, and I'm so thankful. Thanks for making it all the way to the end of a video. I know, that's tough. TikTok's really messed with our attention span, but not for you guys. Okay, you're the best. I'll see you soon. Bye.